Good evening. Dismissed Bamban Mayor Alice Guo is in Jakarta, Indonesia, according to the Bureau of Immigration. During the Senate Subcommittee on Justice and Human Rights hearing on Tuesday, August 27, Senator Risa Hontiveros asked the Bureau of Immigration Commissioner Norman Tansinco about the dismissed Bamban mayor's whereabouts. In response, Tansinco said Guo is in Jakarta, Indonesia, citing the latest report given to him as of August 26. According to Tansinco, the government's request for Guo's deportation from Indonesia to the Philippines is still standing. He adds that the coordination between the two governments is continuous. As for Alice Guo's brother, Wesley Guo, Tansinco discloses that he left Batam, Indonesia on August 20 through a ferry and then boarded a plane to Hong Kong. According to Tansinco, they have already requested the Hong Kong immigration for the confirmation of Wesley's arrival there. Furthermore, Tansinco says he could not provide a timeline for Alice Guo's arrest because the Indonesian immigration is leading the operation. Sheila Guo says she doesn't know the location of her sister, dismissed Bamban Mayor Alice Guo after they parted ways in Indonesia. During the Senate Subcommittee on Justice and Human Rights hearing on Tuesday, Sheila says she and her siblings, Alice and Wesley, left the Philippines by sea to Malaysia. She did not say when they left the country, but Senator Risa Hontiveros previously revealed that Alice Guo left the Philippines on July 18. From Malaysia, the Guo siblings went to Singapore and then proceeded to Indonesia on August 18. Senate President Pro Tempore Jinggoy Estrada asked Sheila where her sister is, but Sheila maintains that she doesn't know the whereabouts of the dismissed mayor. Sheila reiterates that while they arrived together in Malaysia, they separated in Indonesia either on August 19 or August 20.
Saan siya nagpunta?
Wala siya sinabi.
Oh, wala siya sinabi.
Wala po.
Basta-basta lang umalis.
Sabi lang niya sa akin, hiwalay lang muna ate. Tapos tanong ko siya saan siya punta, sabi niya sa akin, wag daw ako alamin.
According to Sheila Guo, even their brother Wesley was separated from them while they were in Indonesia. However, from Indonesia, Sheila says she and Wesley were planning to go back to Singapore before going to Hong Kong.
Malak kami punta, balik sa Singapore sana.
Babalik sana kay Singapore, kaso mo na naudlot, nahuli ka na, ganon.
Opo.
Ha? So hindi mo alam kung nasa na yung
Hindi ko po
kapatid
talaga
mo?
alam.
Senator Risa Hontiveros shares information she received that a certain Jiang Zhe booked 4 rooms at a hotel in Batam Center. Hontiveros points out this is contrary to Sheila's statement that she and her siblings were separated in Indonesia. Sheila and Alice's business associate, Cassandra Ong, were arrested in Indonesia on August 21. The two were sent back to the Philippines on August 22. Sheila Guo is detained at the Senate while Ong is under the custody of the House of Representatives, as both chambers hold separate probes into Philippine offshore gaming operators. President Bongbong Marcos has a very good idea about people to fire in the Bureau of Immigration for the escape of Alice Guo and her party. In an interview on Tuesday, Marcos discloses that there are people from the Bureau of Immigration that are responsible for the secret departure of Guo and others from the Philippines. The president did not give specific names, noting that the Department of Justice is still in the last part of a thorough investigation to identify people who helped Guo and others leave the country last month amid government investigations on her and her links to Philippine offshore gaming operators.
That's what the last part of this is. How far, how deep does it go? Isa lang bang tao ang involved? O marami sila? O sindikato ito? That's what we are looking at now.
Marcos also confirms Senator Sherwin Gatchalian's claim that the Bureau of Immigration did not let the president know about Guo's departure in July. Marcos says the Bureau of Immigration purposely kept him in the dark regarding Guo's escape. President Bongbong Marcos maintains there were no human rights violations during the police raid on the Kingdom of Jesus Christ compound in Davao City. President Marcos ascribes such claims regarding the raid on the compound to arrest sect leader Apollo Kibuloy as political and untrue.
I think what they're talking about is political na yan. Hindi na totoo yan. You go to any human rights advocate, there's nothing that we did. Lahat ng pumasok na pulis, hindi armado. Walang baril, kahit isa. Hindi kami gumamit ng tear gas. Wala kaming ginawang ganun. So ano yung human rights violation?
According to Marcos, the intent of sending around 2,000 policemen to raid the 30-hectare Kingdom of Jesus Christ compound was the only way to maintain peace. Marcos also notes that he does not understand why Kibuloy is using his supporters to resist being arrested.
Wala namang kasalanan yung mga yan. They just believe they're looking for an answer, a value system, and they think they have found it with Kibuloy. But they did not sign up to be in the front line of this kind of thing that's happening now, that they will protect him from arrest, even when he has cases filed against him, not only here in the Philippines, but also in the United States.
The operation, which began on August 24, was part of another attempt by the police to serve the arrest warrant against Kibuloy and other sect members. Kibuloy and 5 of his subordinates are facing child abuse cases before a Davao City court. The sect leader also has standing arrest warrants for human trafficking issued by a Pasig City court. But Kibuloy refuses to answer the cases and remains in hiding. The Davao Police Regional Office says he is believed to be hiding inside the Kingdom of Jesus Christ compound. Tensions at the House of Representatives Committee on Appropriations hearing on the Office of the Vice President's proposed 2025 budget flared after Vice President Sara Duterte refused to answer several questions, especially regarding confidential funds. During the hearing, the Vice President said that she will forego the opportunity to defend the budget of her office in a question and answer format, and instead she will leave it up to the House to decide on the budget they have submitted. But Appropriations Senior Vice Chair and Marikina 2nd District Representative Stella Kimbo reminded Duterte that the interpellation is an important part of the budget briefing. During the hearing, ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro asked the Vice President about their 125 million pesos confidential funds for 2022, which was reportedly used in just 11 days. But Duterte questioned its relevance, noting that the focus should be on the 2025 National Expenditures Program rather than past allocations. Tensions began to rise when Duterte claimed that Castro made a snide comment, which she took as a signal to issue her own snide comment.
Madam Chair, since you allowed her a snide comment, you will allow me a snide comment as well.
Before you proceed, may I remind both our guests and our resource
You should have reminded
persons
her
to
when she said the
refrain
line, diba? I called your attention, Madam Chair. You did not recognize me. So, ngayon, sasabihin ko na, if you allowed her that, you allowed me a snide comment as well. Madam Chair, I do not understand. Bakit a person convicted of child abuse is still sitting in a seat?
Meanwhile, Kabataan Party List Representative Raul Manuel said that it seems Duterte is just keen on diverting issues by not answering directly. Duterte contended that the topic of the hearing must stick only to the 2025 proposed budget and not previous fiscal years.
Madam Chair, I still request for the rules of the budget hearings. Gusto mo sagutin ko, ma'am?
Yes, Madam.
This is a hearing of the budget of 2025. Nasaan dito ang confidential funds? Yung tanong niya,
Madam
confidential
Chair.
funds. Nasaan dito?
Honorable
Madam Chair,
friends,
ito yung continuing, continuing questions pa natin noong 2024, during the last budgets. Hindi na ipaliwanag itong 125 million na alam naman natin na wala ito sa budget ng 2022. So, ito, Madam Chair, sa rule naman natin, lahat dito tinatanong no?
The Office of the Vice President is not getting any confidential funds for 2025 as the Department of Budget and Management decided to adopt Congress's policy where civilian agencies with no surveillance mandate are no longer given confidential funds allocations. In 2023, the confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President and the Department of Education went through scrutiny after it was revealed that the Office of the Vice President had 125 million pesos confidential funds for 2022, even if the original budget did not have these items. Vice President Sara Duterte is blaming what she calls political climate surrounding the Office of the Vice President for the possible discontinuation or non-fulfillment of some projects of the institution. In her opening speech during the continuation of the House Committee on Appropriations hearing on the proposed 2025 budget of her office amounting to 2.37 billion pesos, Duterte says that it is unfortunate that some of her projects may never come to fruition given the political climate surrounding the institution. Some of these projects include a permanent office for future vice presidents, a Vice President Museum, and for the Office of the Vice President to have its own charter. Duterte is also blaming politics over how financial aid is being distributed among government agencies, and particularly to the Office of the Vice President.
On the matter of OVP projects being similar to the mandate of other government offices, there is certainly no agency that has the monopoly of government services. No office of the government should be so helpless as to deny assistance to a person in distress. After all, the duty of government is to afford our countrymen with faithful public service.
The Vice President also questions the issue of politics being involved in relation to the national budget and release of financial assistance.
Corollary to this is the issue of politics being involved in relation to the national budget and release of financial assistance. We need not go further than the statement of Senator Amy Marcos during the Senate budget hearing, wherein she corroborated our claim and said, "Ang sasabihin ko lang, hindi naman sa barangay lamang napupolitika ang ayuda, pati dito sa mga senador, pati sa ating pangalawang Pangulo."
The Office of the Vice President's 2.37 billion pesos allocation under the 2025 National Expenditures Program, which was submitted by the executive branch, is higher than the 1.885 billion pesos allocation it had under the 2024 National Expenditures Program, but is slightly lower than its 2.259 billion pesos allocation under the 2023 National Expenditures Program. Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr. says China is trying to break apart the unity of Southeast Asian nations as the region continues to grapple with overlapping claims of several countries in the South China Sea. In a forum on Tuesday, Teodoro expresses confidence that China will not succeed in trying to break the unity of Southeast Asian nations because he firmly believes that leaders of the nations realize that China is the biggest disruptor of international peace. Apart from China and the Philippines, Association of Southeast Asian Nations member states Brunei, Malaysia, and Vietnam are also claimants of maritime territories within the South China Sea. Maritime features of the Spratly inside the western section of the Philippines Exclusive Economic Zone, locally known as the West Philippine Sea, are being referred to as the Kalayaan Island Group. Despite the overlapping claims, China asserts sovereignty in almost the entire South China Sea through its so-called 10-dash line. A July 2016 arbitral award which stemmed from a case filed by Manila in 2013 already invalidated Beijing's then 9-dash line. Beijing, which continues to reject the historic ruling, employed methods like firing water cannons and flares against Manila's vessels and aircraft, respectively, operating inside the Philippines Exclusive Economic Zone. The implementation of the revised toll expressway guidelines, including penalties for motorists without valid radio frequency identification or RFID, has been suspended, according to the Department of Transportation. The revised toll expressway guidelines will now be enforced starting October 1 instead of August 31. Department of Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista explains that the postponement was made to allow more time for adjustments and public awareness campaigns regarding the new toll expressway guidelines. The revised regulations are outlined in Joint Memorandum Circular Number 2024-001, which was signed on August 1. The joint memorandum circular updated the tasks of the LTO, Toll Regulatory Board, and the Department of Transportation, as well as tollway concessionaires and users, and introduced penalties for the lack of electronic toll collection devices or insufficient load balance of RFID devices. Bautista is urging tollway users to support the new toll expressway guidelines that would cover freeways under the Toll Regulatory Board's jurisdiction. These are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.